I thank you very much for coming out in force today. The Waterbury LaSalle Community Association did this so that our members and residents would be educated as to what each candidate thinks about the issues. We have accepted questions from our members and from non-members. They sent questions to our website and called me on the phone. Most of them were for pretty much the same issues. So we're going to ask those questions after the candidates have a chance to introduce themselves by letting you know what their platform is. And then those questions will be asked. And I think there will be time to take questions from the audience. The only thing that I ask you is that if you raise your hand and you ask a question, that it's just one question to one person and that there's no back and forth. I know, I have a tendency to want to do that too because you feel passionately about something, and if a candidate is saying something that you agree with or don't agree with, you want to respond. But we can't do that because we have a lot of candidates and we have a lot of people, so we want to be fair to everyone. I do have two announcements. One is that Mohammed is home tonight instead of coming because he's celebrating Ramadan, so he sends his regrets. And John Moreno has an announcement that he would like to speak now. So, yes.
Well, good evening, everybody. Wow. Take this one. Good evening. My name is John Moreno, and I was a candidate for the Council District number 13. I want to take a second at your time. I want to thank you all for coming this evening. It's very important to be involved in the political process so you can be well informed to help make a difference in our community. I am a lifelong resident of this community and have been extremely involved so I can help make a positive impact and keep our neighborhoods clean, safe for our families and to live and work in. In the last 10 years, I have taken an active role on the community board that has allowed me to develop a positive and productive working relationship with our current elected officials. Over the last few months, there has been an influx of candidates entering the race for the council seat. Some of them have only recently become involved with our community, and I feel that they don't yet have the experience that qualifies them to take on a significant responsibility of representing our district. I have what it takes to represent our district fairly, effectively, and passionately, but at this juncture, I want to ensure the more qualified candidates do not cancel each other out, which could bring a less experienced candidate into office. That is why it is with the heavy heart that I am withdrawing my candidacy for District 13 council member. With that being said, I want to make sure that we get the right candidate in place to safeguard a vibrant future for our community. I will support the one that I feel shares many of the same visions and aspirations that I have for our district. But not to worry, I will continue to be involved now and in the future by working both independently and with our civic associations to advocate for the needs of our community and collaborating closely with our elected officials. Most importantly, I would also like to take this time to thank all my supporters who have contributed and volunteered their time to my campaign. Your support means the world to me, and I would not have gotten this far without you. I haven't ruled out a future run under the right circumstances so I can make the difference I strive to make. Thank you. Good luck, guys.
So before we go further, I just you have a very busy schedule, and it hopefully will be a long night tonight because we're going to ask you first to present your platform and then to take the questions, if we have time to take questions from the audience. And then we invite you to have coffee and cookies with us where you could really, speak to individuals one-on-one, which is really the best way. So I wish you all luck. And to the person, one of you is going to be the person that we come to with our problems, and whoever it is, we really want you to know that our community will work with you. So, we have a wonderful community, and we want to keep it that way, and, we're hoping that you will be able to help us do that. So, Andrew has a few words to say.
Okay. Well, tonight I want to welcome everybody here. Waterbury LaSalle presents the candidates for District 13. Now we have 7 candidates. Each candidate will have 3 minutes to speak, tell us about themselves and their platform. We've collected questions from the audience tonight. And at the end, if there's time, we'll invite additional questions. There are 6 now Democrat candidates and 1 Republican candidate. If you're a registered Democrat, you have 2 votes to make this year. On September 12th, only registered Democrats will vote in the primary. The primary will eliminate down to 1 candidate for the Republican, for the Democrat. And we have a Republican candidate, so he does not have a primary. On November 7th, in the general election, regardless of your party, you will vote for the candidate that you feel is best for our community. Now, Waterbury LaSalle does not endorse or support any one candidate. I'm going to introduce the candidates now in alphabetical order, because we're not going to be partial. John Serini, the Republican. John Doyle, the Democrat. Mark Jonai, Democrat. Alex Gomez, Democrat. Victor Ortiz, Democrat. And we have 1 more missing. Marjorie Velez Lynch was supposed to be here, and we just don't see her tonight. So these are your candidates, and you will be making the choice in November.
Okay, so I would like to start with each candidate presenting their platform. We're going to ask that you stand because the people in the back cannot see you while you're sitting. Just stand when you speak. Is this on, Andrew? It is.
Let's give them this one.
Okay, everybody, thank you very much to the Waterbury LaSalle Association. Thank you to all of you for coming out. I know this is an important election. We have a lot of choices this year, and it's important that you hear everybody stand on all the issues. So my name is John Serini. I'm the only Republican running in this race. I've been a Republican since I registered to vote at the age of 18. I want you to know that I did not switch just to run in this race. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. I was born and raised in the Throgs Neck community. Lived in Throgs Neck until I was 24, got married, moved to Fordham Road area for 10 months while I was married, saving up, bought a house in Pelham Bay on Gillespie Avenue and moved back where I still live now 23 years later. I have 4 beautiful children, 2 in college and 2 in high school. I am running my family business, which my father started in 1974. An accounting office. He was an accountant. I wanted to follow in his footsteps. I was very proud of him. My parents were immigrants from Italy. They came over in the 1950s, and they did everything by the book, learned the language, went to school, got their diplomas, became citizens of the United States, went on to buy properties, bought a home in the Throgs Neck area, and I'm proud of all the accomplishments they had as immigrants. I can only imagine, the struggle that you go through as an immigrant coming into a new country, having to learn the language. But, that's how I end up in Pelham Bay, and I'm now running Bronx Taxman on East Tremont Avenue for the last 23 years. and another business called Capital Shield Insurance Agency. So with this experience that I've had in running a business, I feel like financially I have, experience that others don't. Being an accountant, I'm an enrolled agent of the Internal Revenue Service. I've been very actively involved in the community for 2 decades now, and I've been trying to get on the community board 10. Unfortunately, my application's been turned down for close to 10 years. I would have liked to have been on that, but I did start the Brock's Neck Merchant Association. And so let me talk about some of my platform, because I know I'm running out of time. One of the biggest things on my card that you guys tonight, I hope that I can give one to all of you, is overdevelopment. I'm sick and tired of overdevelopment in our community. I can't get a parking space. I live right down the block. Sometimes I have to park 5 blocks away from my house. I'm sick and tired of developers coming in, knocking down a 1-family building, a 10-family, knocking down 3 families, building 100 family, like they do on the current corner of Bureau and Jarvis. Overcrowding of schools. PS 71, which is a school my kids went to, is way overcrowded. There's over 1,700 students in that school. It converted to K-8, and that was a great thing, but then all the people from outside the community started taking their kids in because it was K-8. So my suggestion is that we bring all schools K-8, so this way we could decrease the volume of the schools, and every school in every neighborhood will have their kids in that community. I'm a small business owner. I believe that we need more small business representation. So what we really need now is not just another politician. We need a leader who will listen to the people. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. How are we all doing tonight? Good? Good. I'm only the second one, so I know we're still a little enthusiastic. My name's John Doyle. I know many of you in the room because I've worked with you these last 10 years. As many of you know my story, I've been an aide in government for 5 years. I've been at Jacoby Hospital for the last 5 years. I've also been somebody who's been involved in our civic life. I've been a comrade to many of you over on City Island and 45th Precinct Council, where I've been serving on both boards for 5 and 7 years. I kind of see 360 degrees of a problem. I know what government can do. I know what government can't do. I know we need people to step up and demand that we do. This forum is a great start to that, getting people informed with the facts on what's going on, and then what we need to change cultures to do. And the biggest culture we need to change is the culture of no. Bureaucrats who say no to every idea we ever have, who don't even listen to us. We need fresh eyes, we need open minds, and we need somebody who is bigger to get those things done. My entire platform, really, has been about taking power out of the hands of people who are in City Hall, in Albany, and other places, and giving it back to the people. What do I mean by that? It sounds great, but you might not know. I want to do participatory budgeting. I want to give you a say in how your tax dollars are spent. We see a lot of people who show up with those plastic checks, and it looks great, but that's your money, and you deserve a say in how your money is spent in your community. I'll fight to make that happen. Secondly, you deserve to know, as your public servant, where I'm spending my time. I'll put my schedule online every week. You can see if I'm out in Country Club, working on flooding issues, from issues in Waterbury, LaSalle with overdevelopment, to nightlife issues on City Island. You'll be able to see how I, as your public servant, am spending my time. You deserve to know that. Finally, I think it's just very important that we have town halls like this in every community every year. You deserve to know from your elected officials. You deserve to be able to hold them accountable. And I will host one of these in every community every year beyond the 13 communities that make up this district, where you can come, no matter who you are, present your question directly to me. Not a faceless bureaucrat, not some paper pusher. And you know what? Next year you're going to show back up. So either have to have solved your problem or have a very good explanation as to why I didn't. We have so many challenges to face. We have much in common, but we need new energy and new leadership to get there. I think I can bring us there. I think that whether it's real estate run amok, a nightlife industry that's a problem, standing strong and supporting our police, and of course fighting for our transportation infrastructure and solving the transportation deserts we have. I have experience on all of these things. I look forward to getting to them throughout the course of this debate, but I want to keep it short because we have so many other candidates to go. So thank you, and I hope to earn your support.
Good evening, folks. First, let me just begin by thanking all of you for making the time to be here. You could have easily have been at home, attending to family needs, or your own needs. But because you take the time to attend forums like this and be a part of the Waterbury LaSalle community and get involved. I owe you a great amount of appreciation and thankfulness. I'm here this evening with my wife, my mother, my 2 boys. I know many of the faces in this room. I'm currently the Assemblyman, represent Morris Park, Pelham Parkway, Alton Avenue, up to Marshall Parkway. Born and raised in the great borough of the Bronx. Came from small business, been very successful. Life has been great. God has been greater to me and my family. We have so much to be thankful for. So the reason we come together is to hear from one another in the needs. I know over the last 5 years how much pain is out there. How many people are suffering day in and day out. And how important communities are and the associations that represent the people. I've heard from you, and I take pride in the strong work ethic I have. Born here, parents immigrated here from nothing, with less than an elementary school education. They thrived, they prospered, were provided opportunities that they couldn't have anywhere else. I've never forgotten where I came from, the humble beginnings. And it's because of that I went into office. See, I had a job, a career. We've done extremely well. But it's about giving back to make sure that your children, my children, can live in a safe community. That they'll be always proud to live in the borough of the Bronx. This isn't about status quo. This isn't about preserving what we have. If we live in a safe community, I'm going to help make it safer. If we live in a good community, it's about making it a better community. I pride myself on working 7 days a week. Many of the people in this room that know me have my cell phone. I am accessible. And that's the reason I'm coming down from Albany to City Hall. So I can be more accessible, because it's about the potholes, the street lights, the quality of life issues that determine the community that we live in. I've made great sacrifices alongside of my family. Public service has been the most humbling and rewarding experience of my life. I'm not sure my family would agree, but they have stood by my side and they understand the importance of what I'm doing. And for that, I'm grateful to them, and I'm grateful to you for being here. And I'm looking forward to hearing about your issues and concerns and delivering for you, continuing that progress that I began in Albany and bringing it down here. Thank you, and God bless you.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Thank you so much for being here in attendance with us. Thank you to the Waterbury LaSalle Community Association and to those who took their time to be here tonight with us. This is really about not just preserving the status quo, it's actually about preserving the community for everyone. My platform starts with E, equality. Equality across the board for every part of this community, for every color of this community, for every language of this community, for every shade of this community, for every person, regardless of immigration status, regardless of what part of the world they came from. That's what the United States of America is about. It's not about who is here now or who dominates or who's better than who. It's about each and every one of us helping each other out. So yes, I do want to make it a better community. I was raised in the South Bronx. I immigrated here at the age of 5 from South America, from Colombia. A single parent who raised 3 children, who put them through school, who educated them, who did not do what typically every other person or what they say does and live off the system. She worked her behind off, she did what she needed to do, and she proudly raised 3 children that became responsible adults who had careers. For the last 20 years, I've been working in social services. So I can proudly say that I've served the community of the Bronx. I've served the community of New York City. And when I say that with a lot of pride because I've served people in different areas within different capacities. So I've worked with the homeless, I worked with the youthful offenders, I worked with the jobless, the underemployed individuals, and at the same time, for the last 10 years, I've managed contracts with city agencies. So I have relationships with the different departments throughout the city, from the small business services to the Department of Youth and Community Development to working currently with the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, with the Department of Homeless Services, in my current capacity as a program director for one of the largest nonprofits in New York City. And I say that with a lot of pride because I do the actual work that some of these elected officials say they do. And I honestly am here to tell you that I am against the establishment. And I don't think that the status quo needs to continue to happen. And I do think that some of you need to stand up and actually speak out against what's happening in this community, in this district, because this is a microcosm. I'm standing here next to big dollars, okay? This, between myself and one of my opponents, you can see the story being told right here. This is little money against big money. This is David versus Goliath. So if you believe that something needs to happen and a change needs to be made, then you need to look beyond this table. You need to look beyond what's happening right around you. If people tell you to your face that this community is not what it is, then you need to speak up, because this community is a mix of people, and unfortunately, not everyone is being represented in this community. So I thank you for this opportunity.
3 minutes are up.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Victor Ortiz, and I'm probably one of the youngest guys here running for city council. But I've been working with the community ever since I've been 16. I want to thank the citizens for creating term limits, because if we didn't have term limits, none of us would be up here. It would be the Bronx Democratic County Committee pushing their person and their agenda forward. We need to have honesty, transparency, and commitment. And we need to have democracy. This is democracy. A group of individuals debating the issues. A group of individuals expressing the concerns not only for the poor, not only for the homeless, not only for the rich, not only for the people who own homes, but a democracy that is transparent. And some of our people who have the big dollars are not here. We send people to Albany, and they have not done the job. Go look at the New York State Legislature and take a look at some of the candidates and what they've done and what they've proposed since January to the president. And you will see nothing has been done. We need to have transparency. We need to have commitment. And back in 1986, I started an anti-drug group because a lot of people were on drugs. And me and my friends, we toured the city of New York, and we promoted an anti-drug culture and an environment for the kids. And if you go to Mullally Rink, right next to Yankee Stadium, my skate park that I built, engineered, and constructed myself in 1988 still stands. And the Yankees could not destroy the park because the park belonged to the children. 1,000 kids go there, bike ride for free, and they enjoy recreation. And we need recreational culture here developed in City Island, where the kids are dying from drugs. The epidemic of drugs happening in City Island, the congestion of cars. When Hurricane Sandy came to our door, FEMA responded late, didn't give the money, the politicians hide. I had to pay for my roof out of my own pocket, and most of the communities, like my house next to the edge of the water, were destroyed. So we need to look at what's going on. I was born here, educated here, leaving college. I am the only candidate here who has experience in government. I'm a political science major. I studied this. And I went to Albany. I spent 6 months up there as a legislative intern. I worked with Congressman Serrano. I also worked with Roberto Ramirez, and I saw the corruption that was occurring in the Bronx at that time.
20 seconds.
I would like to express everything that I've done, and I would like to bring what I've done in housing with the homeless, education as a teacher, a tenured teacher. Look at the schools that are shutting down because the teachers don't have the books to teach based on the state curriculum. We have a big serious epidemic going on here. We need to preserve our culture, we need to preserve the community, and we need to move forward. And this is a
3 minutes
great
are
thing.
up, sir.
This is
Please.
a wonderful thing to have these debates. And we should have it in the state level and in the congressional level. Thank you.
Well, I hear a lot of passion, and it was very interesting to hear about your backgrounds and what you plan to do to help our communities. We're now going to go into the second part of our forum, where we're going to ask questions of each of the candidates that were fielded to us over the past month.
Could I ask what the name of the candidate was next to Mark? Because he never said his name.
We introduced the candidates before they spoke. Are you talking about Mr. Gomez?
Alex Gomez.
Mr. Gomez, raise your hand. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So, question number 1. Most residents feel that another zoning correction is needed in our community. We have an abundance of multifamily homes, and we are losing our one-family homes, which means that we're losing a lot of our middle-class families that we need to keep here. They're moving to Westchester and Long Island and New Jersey, and we want them to stay. We also have no place to park our cars. And people, out of all of the questions that we received, almost every single one spoke about the symptoms of overdevelopment. So, we asked what your strategies would be to correct the zoning and how you feel about that. So, let me start with Mr. Ortiz.
Well, I was trying to bring my blood pressure a little bit down just now. Yes, we do need to protect our buildings and our infrastructure here in Rosneck. Yes, there is a lot of overdevelopment. There's 2, 3, 4, 5 family houses. Just in my area, at the end of Miles Avenue, there's 2 buildings, 52 family buildings each. It shouldn't be there at the end of Shore Road. I mean, we've had a lot of past corruption, people doing things that they shouldn't do, development that should not be here, and it's bringing the cost of the community up. Most of these houses are not worth what they're projected by the city of New York. Yes, it's a good thing to say to me that my house is worth $500,000, but then I have to pay the taxes related to the rate times whatever mathematical equation to pay the taxes. And I don't want to be like my friends up in Westchester County paying $11,000, $10,000, because the prices have soared so high. So yes, we need to protect the integrity of the community. We need to keep these houses original style. If they want to redevelop or rebuild a house and not build a 3, 4 family house right next to a 1 family house, it's destroying the nature of the community, the overdevelopment. And we need to be careful on what we do with housing in this environment. It's overdevelopment, big buildings. Right here on the strip of this block on Polk Parkway, I think West, we have 2 massive buildings that were developed next to small 1-family houses. It's destroying the culture and the nature of this environment. We need to protect it. Thank you.
Thank you. Remember that we're asking you what your strategy would be.
Okay.
So just keep that in mind, okay? And what we're going to try to do is, instead of going down the line, we're going to, switch it around so that each person has a chance to be first or last. Try to make it as fair as possible. Also, Mr. Doyle?
Absolutely. Thank you for the question. I think this is really something you touched on here that I hear wherever I go in this district. And I think people are not happy. As I said earlier, real estate run amok. It's one of the reasons I'm running. Is that these realtors, they throw in a lot of money into our political system. We all heard of jobs in New York where they throw around big dark money. They get people elected, and we get surprised when the mayor comes out with things like the zoning for quality and affordability that nobody's for. They rush it through the community boards. They don't take your input, basically tell you to go fly a kite. And then we're all angry. So here's where I would start on this problem. One, I want to do a charter revision and get rid of the Board of Standards and Appeals, which has become a clearinghouse for the real estate industry. It's unacceptable. I think these things should go before the council. And again, it's elected democratic representation. If I vote for a project and you don't like it, vote me out in 4 years. That's the way we take back government. Not putting it through all these boards like the Board of Standards and Appeals or the water boards. All we're doing is advocating responsibility here. And we're not having leaders, we're having people who are just politicians willing to say anything to get elected. Beyond that, this is a good idea I got from Tony Avello when he was a councilman. He hired a part-time city planner to work on downzoning his communities. I would do the same. We want to talk about how we downzone parts of the Bruckner Expressway so we don't have zero lot lines, so Patty Justiano doesn't have to put up with a 7-story building going up next to her. So we can talk about people who see huge, like 3030 Middletown or 3033 Middletown Road, where we have this huge building that no one in the neighborhood wants and sits vacant. There wasn't a market for it. This is crazy talk, and we need people who are going to call it as it is and not play the usual game when problems arise. I think I have a record of doing that, working with this association from the Court Watcher program, where we went after repeat recidivists, to shutting down Pompeii. We've done so much in our time here, and I think we can do even more, but we have to have the right people in the right places, and we have to have somebody who's accountable to you.
20 seconds.
Thank you. I rest my time.
Yeah, so that's my biggest pet peeve and my biggest item on my platform is overdeveloping. We have to figure out a way to stop them. Recently, on the corner of Jarvis and Bureau Avenue, there was 5 homes that were knocked down, a 40-unit building, a 30-unit building, another 30-unit building went up. Turns out the contractor was one of my tax clients. I called him into my office. I told him that, is this true? Are you building these 3 buildings? He said, absolutely, I'm excited. You should be happy for me. I said, I'm not. Please take your papers and go to another accountant. I cannot be part of this. I'd be a hypocrite to let somebody like this ruin the fabric of our community. I believe, what can we do? We have to come up with stricter rules and regulations for developers. We have to have boundaries. We have to have borders. We can't just let them keep dominoing. The way the rules are now, if there's a building, you can build another building. And if that's a building, you can build another building. And it just seems like it's never going to end. At some point, these buildings have got to stop. Otherwise, it's going to domino and take over all of our neighborhoods. And some people feel safe because, well, it's just in the Pelham Bay area, which is where I live now, but it's not. It's going to go into Thrive's Neck. It's going to go into Country Club. It's going to go into Morris Park. It's already hitting Westchester Square. Now the community board has been having meetings about developing more low-income housing. And you know what they have the nerve to say? That anything near public transportation is considered low income. So I'm pretty close to the 6 Middletown train station, which means what? That my house is considered low income? They say they're going to take away parking spaces from people who live near public transportation. Because guess what? They can't afford cars. They're taking public transportation. That's ridiculous. People move near public transportation so they can be closer, so they can commute. We can't take away parking spaces. Another thing we need to do is we need to have parking spaces when the contractors are building new homes. They need to do at least 2 spaces per household. Let's face it, today, every household has at least 2 cars in it, right? So if you're going to build a 10-family apartment building, build at least 20 parking spaces for those families. Minimum. That should be concrete. Last thing is schools. Our schools are way overcrowded. The contractors are building these buildings without any concern for where these kids are going to go to school. We can't just crush them in, and these children who live in the community should not have to be bussed out. So we need to make sure the schools and the parking are sufficient to house these new contractors that are going up. Thank you.
These are real issues. And unfortunately, we haven't had true representation to push back. Our current representation folded when it came to the mayor's plan. Your voices were loud. He never delivered your voice. He didn't oppose the rezoning. He let this community down. He let us down. When I get elected to city council, I want you to know something. It's your voice that I will be repeating at every single one of these issues when they come up. Zoning, I'm not opposed to development. I'm opposed to development when the community doesn't approve of it. I'm opposed to development when the infrastructure is not in place to meet the demand of the infusion of the additional people. From education to roadways to parking that was brought up. We have ideas now of making angle parking on East Tremont, a study that was done almost a decade ago that has never been looked at or brought to the table of the city council or proposed to the mayor. We have heard proposals of I-95 where a platform be built so we can have more community parking available. Folks, your community, you were stakeholders and are stakeholders when it wasn't fashionable to live in the borough of the Bronx. The fact is the borough of the Bronx has the cheapest land and the most open space in the city of New York. The developers have eyed the borough of the Bronx because of those factors. And our community boards have tried, but the representatives have not pushed back hard enough. So when I get elected, I assure you, downzoning, infrastructure, your quality of life, and your voice will always be heard. And home ownership is just not the real estate taxes, it's the water and sewer and the flood insurance. We have seniors that have their life investments in our homes.
2 minutes up.
And they can't keep their homes, they're being forced out systematically. And that's where the developers are taking advantage of it. So I'll be a voice opposing real estate taxes and water and sewer increases as well.
As a proud homeowner in Throgs Neck, I've owned a home for the last 7 years. My wife, she grew up in Throgs Neck. She's actually here with us tonight, and I didn't mention her earlier. Thank you, Rosa, for being here with me and showing your support, and other people likewise that are here to show their support for their loved ones. But it's important for you to understand that this solution to this problem doesn't just start by coming up with great ideas that sound positive and can be nice ads for a political posting, because that's what most of these answers sound like. The idea to get some solutions to happen when someone can oppose what the establishment is telling you what needs to happen in your community. So if you're part of the establishment and if you're receiving money that is tainted from developers and from some of these real estate interests, okay, from some of this dirty money, let's be real. That's where the problem lies. Some of these same politicians that have represented this community, okay, whether it's the assemblyman, whether it's your council member, whether it's your borough president, whether it's the mayor of New York City, you need someone like myself who will speak out against the corruption that happens not only in City Hall, in Albany, and in your community. There's a Bronx Democratic Committee, okay? And that's who's deciding what happens in City Hall. That's who's deciding what's happening with your tax dollars. Not your elected officials who say that they're representing the best interest of the people, but then they're taking money from developers. Look into what these candidates are taking. Look at who's giving them money. Look who they have to pay back. Because when you elect them, they're going to have to pay back exactly what they took. So find out what Mr. Jonah is taking. Find out what's happening across New York City and in your community. You need to elect somebody who's going to be bold and not afraid to fight against the establishment.
Thank you. Okay, question number 2. The 45th precinct encompasses a very large area, and now we have new malls, and it seems that we're going to be getting more. So more people, we need more police. The problem is, we don't have more police. And even though we are a community that has low crime, we want to keep it that way. And the way to keep it that way is to get more police. So we want to know, what would be your strategy to have more police officers assigned to the 45th precinct? Okay.
This is probably the most important question we get, I think, for all the candidates when you're out knocking doors and hearing from folks. Safety is kind of like oxygen. You don't think about it, and then when it's not there, it's all you think about. And what I hear again and again and again is that the response times are unfortunately unacceptable. So here are some strategies that I would have to solve the problem. One, much like the city council already does with its oversight functions, I've been told I can be persistent, I've been told I can be a pest. I want to do both down there in terms of oversight. One thing I want to do is I want to see response times for how long it takes for the cops to respond to some of these incidents. They can't tell us that we're a low-crime precinct, but it takes 45 minutes to respond to a car burglary. The burglar's gone. It's as simple as that. I also think that there are other ways where, and a great lady once said this, there's more than one way to skin a cat, and that was Mary Jane, that we have an ability here to take facts, statistics, figures, and use them to prove our case. Here's an example. We're being told we're a low-crime precinct, and that's why, for example, narcotics resources have been taken away. But we're also being told we're one of the 10 neighborhoods in the entire city with the highest accidental overdose rate. The two can't both be true. What's happening is that people are overdosing, and the cops, unfortunately, we have limited resources here. One thing we found out when we fought Pompeii is that on a weekend evening, there are only 4 patrol cars in this precinct. There are 6 neighborhoods. You have untold things going on, from a nightlife scene on East Tremont, to Bay Plaza, to City Island, and everything in between. We're the 2nd largest geographic precinct. We need someone down there, fresh eyes, new voice, new face, new ideas to get things done. I'm serious about looking at response times for these things, getting that done. I'm also serious about bringing new resources in to confront the drug epidemic. When Bill Bratton came about a year ago, he said we can't jail our way out. I put a opioid platform and drug abuse platform on my website tonight, johndoyle.nyc, shameless plug, I'm sorry. You can read it there. Thank you.
As far as the answer to the question at hand, policing in New York City doesn't need to continue to expand. What I think needs to happen is that we do need safe neighborhoods. We are a large neighborhood. We do have a lot of constituents. Like I said, I'm a proud homeowner in the Bronx Neck area of the Bronx. I've lived there for the last 10 years, and I do know that the response time is not adequate for any type of emergency, because I've experienced it myself. I've gone through the situation where I've waited almost an hour for someone to show up to respond to an emergency call. So if it takes an hour for someone to respond from the precinct, which is literally no more than maybe 20 blocks away, I think there's a serious problem, okay? We do have auxiliaries that do provide adequate or substitute services, but they will never substitute what a police officer can do or what a police officer's experience brings to the table. So we don't need more police on our streets, but we do need more adequate timing, meaning that sometimes during the nights and on the weekends, yes, we do need more police out there. Not necessarily hiring more police officers, but the ones that we do have, we need to make sure that they are out there when we need them and that they respond correctly.
Our community is overdeveloped, and I propose that for every 100,000 people in the community, that we have an amount of police force to match the amount of people in the community. We cannot continue to grow the community, build more walls, create a cement sidewalk in the middle of Eastchester Road. If you look at City Island, from April 1st to September, it's impossible to get in. I'm the only one that proposed an HOV lane there for the residents of the community. An HOV lane. Not that the people from the community, the police services, the fire department can't get into an environment because you got half of the tri-state area coming into City Island. It's impossible for the police department to respond to a situation in Seafood City where there's a riot and they can't get there because there's traffic. They can't, the EMS can't respond to the homeless, to the sick, and to the poor. We need to look at the amount of people in the community and base that ratio with the amount of the police force. We can't continue to develop Co-op City. 1, 2 malls there, another mall behind, over here by Droznek. How many malls can we have in this square circle of an environment? And then expect the police department to respond to every single thing? Could you imagine trying to get out of Co-op City if you're going to do regular shopping? It's impossible to get out of Co-op City. It's impossible to get out of Eastchester Road. It's impossible to get into City Island. The residents there have to be extremely upset that they cannot get into their own houses. They have to wait on the cheese line with everybody else to go in there, and they can't get into their own homes.
20 seconds.
So I propose that we need to look at the percentage of police department members based on the community and the size of the community. If the community has grown 100,000 people, then the police department deserves, and the fire department deserves, added more employee workers to respond to the emergency crisis there. That's what we need. We need an HOV lane in City Island to get emergency services in and out, and we need to clean up the whole environment in the community. And I hold the community board responsible for the mess that's going on here. Thank you.
All right, so I'd like to first say that our community is pretty large, not including Co-op City. The district community that we have has over 177,000 residents, and our 2 police departments have a total of only 397 police. The 45th only has 175, last count that I got from the previous Captain Ryer, and our other precinct only has 222 police officers. So I want to ask you a simple question. If you're doing a good job at your job, does your boss come into you and say, hey, you're doing a great job today, guess what, we're cutting your salary? No, they don't. They give you a raise. So because they claim we're doing such a great job and we're a safe community, why are they cutting our police? We need to have more police. One of the things that's a problem is in the community, a lot of crimes go unreported. Whether they're minor. One time, a couple of months ago, I put it on Facebook that my car was broken into. Now, they didn't steal many things. They stole some CDs, some cigars, a cigarette lighter that I had. Not a big deal, but I went to the 45th precinct and I reported it for a small amount of only about $50. The police officer looked at me like, you're really going to report this for $50? And I said, if everybody reported every little crime, you guys would know the number of crimes that actually take place. Because these are quality of life crimes. We need them to be recognized. We need to get back to the old-fashioned beat cop. I was at the Memorial Day parade yesterday, and I heard one of the police officers saying that, he's proud that he's getting back on the streets and getting to know the business owners and the residents. That's something that needs to happen again. We need to know our police so that people won't be afraid of the police. I have to say that as a merchant in the Throgs community, one of the things the Merchant Association is trying to spearhead is something called the BID. I don't know if you guys heard of it. It's a business improvement district. And part of the BID is going to be security. So what are we going to do? Put up cameras. In front of my business, I have 2 cameras facing the sidewalk. I can't tell you how many crimes my 2 cameras facing the sidewalk have solved. We need to have some cameras. The city says that you can't have a camera on the street unless it's within a quarter mile of the schools. But if it comes down to safety, we need more cameras. The city legislature should adjust the laws to help, make our community safer. That's it. Thank you.
Public safety is priority number 1. We need to be safe when we leave our homes and when we come back to our homes. We need to make sure that our children and our families feel safe in their community. So I will be pushing for additional police officers to the 4-5. I'm proud that at the 4-9, when the borough commander, Nikunin, took over, I was able to get additional police officers. We have a bike patrol in the 4-9. Yeah, this was a round of applause. In addition, when we first met, he asked what suggestions I had for community policing. I said, bring back the beat cop. The police officer that can walk our commercial corridors, where he recognized every person and every child. That would go a long way with restoring the relationship between residents and police. He still thanks me to today, because they started that program. They're bringing back the local police. That was his first day on the job. I suspect that all of our crimes are not being reported, because I don't think there's anyone here, unless you can, with a show of hands, tell me who feels safer today than they did yesterday. I know that you don't. I hear it every day. I suspect that our phone calls that are being made to 911 are not being recorded properly. You experiencing why 311 calls are going out if things are so safe. So yes, if we live in a safe community, we will make it safer by bringing more policemen in and adding video to it and making sure that we get beat cops, bicycle cops, patrol cars, day and night. There's a sense of safety when we see our men and women in blue. I thank them for the service they provided, and I know that they make our communities a much better place to live. Thank you.
One very, very serious symptom of overdevelopment are the problems we have with our schools. They are overcrowded. As a teacher and an administrator, it's something that really is dear to my heart. So whoever wrote this question, I really, I thank you for bringing it up. And I hope it is paid attention to much more than it is right now. Right now, we have in Pelham Bay a school that is very, very overcrowded. We need another school in Pelham Bay, and most people in Pelham Bay and Throgs Neck and Country Club and all of our surrounding area, we have been saying that. So what does the School Construction Authority do? They expand PS 14 instead of putting the building where it belongs. So I say to you that we need desperately another school in Pelham Bay. And if you have to deal with the School Construction Authority, I really sympathize, because we have tried and they are impossible. So I want to know what you will do to get us another school. Mr. John?
Thank you. Great question. We stood in the borough of the Bronx at a time when our homeowners decided to stay here because at a low real estate taxes, we could afford to take our children to private schools. They made that sacrifice. Today, the taxes are not allowing you to stay here and afford private schools. And more of our children are going into public schools. So if Pelham Bay needs a new school because of all of the students that we have, I assure you, I already made those contacts, the chancellor and the mayor. They know about the issues, because more importantly, not only overcrowded schools are the two-class students that we currently have. We have schools with trailers in the playground. We all the tale of two cities. Well, we've got tale of two students. We've got children that attend class inside a trailer, have to put on a jacket to go to a restroom. That's in the rain, in the cold, in the sun, to eat lunch. Overcrowded schools is an epidemic. And the chancellor's heard this from me on more than one occasion, and that's why she's getting rid of the trailers that we currently have. The vein on her neck comes out when she sees me. And it should come out, because they've done an injustice to our families and our children, and education in the assembly. Proud, though my opponents don't think so. We just passed a budget of $153 billion. $1 in every $6 went into education, because it begins with education, it ends with education. That is our future, that's my priority, that's your priority.
very dear to me. I have 4 children. I have the house in Pelham Bay. My kids all went to PS 71. And we watched PS 71 when they first entered. It was kindergarten to 6th grade. Then they took away the 6th grade. And then there was a lot of vacant seats in the school. And at the time, my wife was PTA president in PS 71. And she reached out to Chancellor Klein at the time and Mayor Bloomberg at the time. And basically was able to say, look, we have a whole entire floor in this building that's empty. Can we do something to bring K-8 to this school? Because a lot of parents would love that. And I applaud her for that. She worked diligently on that, and a few years later, the school was brought K-8. I am willing to propose, and I hope that we can get a lot of support on this, to bring all schools K-8. Every elementary should just go K-8. Let kids stay in that school all the way through till they go to high school after the 8th grade. But the problem is that, like for instance, PS 71, once they brought a K-8, they said, well, you can't bring your child up to the 6th grade unless they're in the 4th grade. So what do you think happened the next year? Registration on the 4th grade went through the roof, and everybody was bringing their kids in on the 4th grade. So there has to be a way that you can monitor and police those registrations. I was doing notarized letters as a notary that people would come in and say, I live at XYZ Street, and a notary signs it. Now let me tell you, I'm a notary. I don't make that document legal. All I'm doing is witnessing their signature. But yet the Board of Education is accepting a notarized letter saying, I live at 123 Main Street. Are you kidding me? No, these people are coming in from outside the community, taking our children's seats. So if we can bring back the zoning to the schools, and what can we do? You know, unfortunately, look at what happened at where the Indian Museum was on the corner of Jarvis and Bruckner. That's a catastrophe. Jimmy Vacca and everybody involved in that should be ashamed of themselves, because that was a perfect spot for another school, but instead we have so many houses there. And if we could have brought a school there, we would have resolved the problem that you're talking about, Mary Jane, and I agree with that. I'm tired of people saying, we need another school, but not in my neighborhood. No, we need another school in your neighborhood because your children and grandchildren are going to go there. So, you know, these are things that we need our elected officials to come up with solutions for. But another thing that we need to do is figure out a way to keep the costs down for the administration. As you guys can see, what's going on with many of the schools. Lehman High School was converted to 6 mini schools.
26.
IS 192 is converted to 3 mini schools. These mini schools are costing us triple the cost of what the school used to be. I graduated from Lehman High School. Mr. Leader was one man who ran the whole building. Now the administration is 6 times the cost. These